Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back for another video over here. I always get so nervous before I start on this channel. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's that I don't have an intro that I say when I start my videos. And I'm just like, hey you guys, it's Peter. But this has been a video that I have been wanting to do for a long time, and it just felt so fitting to put it on this channel. I don't know why. Like, as soon as I started thinking about different videos that I wanted to do over here, and I have a lot of videos that I want to do. Like, I want to show Christmas ornaments that I had when I was a kid growing up, and Christmas ornaments that my aunt gave me, and an old advent calendar that my aunt made for my mom and I had one, and then my cousin Caroline had one, and so my mom and I would hang it up every year. It's this huge advent calendar. I still have it down in the basement. I have all these things I want to show that have a lot of memories and a lot of meanings to them. And so I thought this is the perfect channel for it, you know, where it's just Peter does stuff. It's just simple stuff about my life, right? I'm trying to actually kind of sit in different areas when I film videos on here too. So it doesn't just seem like I always sit in that one chair, which is, I don't sit in that one chair always. See, like, I get so nervous. I don't even know what to say. And maybe it's because of what I'm going to be talking about in this video today. And what I'm going to be talking about today is this book right here. And this is my mom's special memory book. So let me explain to you what this is, okay? I don't even know where I got this idea, but I've told a lot of people about this as an idea for birthdays or anniversaries or Christmas presents and things like that. And I think I did one for Alex for like Valentine's Day or an anniversary. And what it is you just get a blank journal, and then you write memories in it. So each page is just a memory, and not like a paragraph. I mean, you could write a paragraph if you wanted to, but just a memory of that you have spending with that person. So one Christmas, my mom was the kind of person that she loved store-bought gifts. Don't get me wrong, she did. I can already tell I'm gonna get real emotional. She loved store-bought gifts, but she was always kind of like hurt if I didn't write a poem or like do a painting or something. Like, she loved homemade gifts as well. She loved gifts that had any kind of meaning to them. And, you know, several that I would do these paintings because I love these paintings called The Storyteller. And they're like watercolors that have, and I'm nobody's painter. I'm not artistic in that way whatsoever. But, I love these, they're called The Storyteller, and they're watercolors, and then they have poems on them. And so I did one for my mom, and she ended up framing it and putting it in her bathroom down here. She loved those as well. And so I always was trying to think of different things that were creative for her. And one year I was like at Borders, I think, back in the day, and I was just going to buy her a journal because my mom, like me, loves little notebooks and journals. And so I was going to buy her a journal, and I saw this, and I thought it was so beautiful. And I was like, I think I'm gonna write a memory on each page and then give this to my mom as a memory book. So this is my mom's memory book. I have, through the last 12 years since my mom has passed away, I've skimmed through this from time to time, but, and I just opened it to make sure that it was the right book, and I saw like the first page. But other than that, I have no idea what the memories are on this book. It's kind of weird, you know, like, I have a video of, I haven't heard my mom speak since she passed away. I didn't have any video of my mom or any audio or anything like that. And actually, my dad told me recently that he had taken all of these like 8mm films from when I was a little kid, like learning how to ride a bike and things like that before he and my mom were separated, that have my mom on it. And he's sent them in to have them made into DVDs so that I can watch them and have memories of my mom. And my cousin gave me a VHS tape. Yeah, I still have a VCR in my house. A VHS tape of her wedding. She had a copy of it because my mom read the part about love from Corinthians in the Bible at the wedding. And so I haven't watched it, and I've had that videotape for probably 3 or 4 years. I don't know. I'm kind of like, in some way, kind of like scared to hear my mom's voice, you know? I think that's one of the hardest parts about grieving, is that you do at some point kind of forget their smell and their how they sound. And I have to say, I definitely have forgotten how my mom sounds. Like, from time to time, I think I get kind of like a moment of it, you know? every once in a while, like, I'll walk in here and I'll smell something that smells like my mom, but it's usually a perfume that she used to wear or something like that. It's not just, my mom. And so I think that's one of the hardest things, about grieving. And a lot of these memories, I have no idea what's in this book, like I said, so it's kind of like opening a scrapbook and looking at pictures I haven't seen in a really long time. And so I have no idea what this is going to bring up. It may bring up a lot, it may bring up nothing. So here we go. Are you ready? I'm kind of nervous, honestly. In case when you open it, it's just this. Oh, hi, Tucker. Hi, honey. And it says, he's peeking around. And it says, The Journey Through. And then I wrote, For Mother, from Peter, Christmas 2005. And then I put, and this is how I remember it. Playing Laverne and Shirley. So I'm going to explain these to you guys. Playing Laverne and Shirley in the bathroom. So when I was a little kid, to get me to, be really smelling the candles, to get me to brush my teeth, I used to love the show Laverne and Shirley, and so my mom and I she had double sinks in the bathroom, and I would go in there and we would brush our teeth, and we would sing while I was brushing the teeth to the beginning of Laverne and Shirley. We're gonna do it. Do you guys remember that song from Laverne and Shirley? She always had to be Laverne, and I got to be Shirley because I thought Shirley was prettier. Putting a penny in our fireplace. I've actually talked a lot about this on my vlog, and I included this in my book I wrote, but in the book, it's that we buried a penny. So before we moved out of the house that I was that I grew up in, I went over to see the house one last time. My mom had been out of it for a long time. She had been here in this condo. And so we went over there, and she made us coffee in the kitchen, and like the entire house was empty. There was no furniture there or anything. And we sat on the front porch, and we talked about like all the memories that we had in the house and all the good memories, and then my mom had her purse next to her, and she always had a purse next to her, and she said, a purse was one place that nobody ever, a lady's purse is someplace that nobody else goes. She would always tell me, you never go into a woman's purse. My mom always said. But, so anyway, she was like, what if we put a penny like up in the fireplace behind the grate and just dropped it, and then it would be in there and like nobody would know, and then that would be a part of us that would just live with this house forever. The house that I grew up in meant a lot to us because my parents had built it. Like literally my dad sat down with a builder, and they had, the living room had the fireplace from the Pi-Fi house in Bloomington, Indiana, and the library, because I had a library when I was growing up, had the fireplace from the Union Hall, which was one of the places that my parents like went on a date. And there were all like these different, like the colors in the living room were because my mom was a Pi-Fi at IU. And so there was all these different things, window seats, slate floors, limestone from the quarries in Bloomington, Indiana, which is where my parents were huge IU fans. So the house like meant a lot to us. It was definitely a home, but it like meant a lot to us as well. And so we took the penny and we put it up behind the fireplace. And I remember my mom said, she just picked some random year, like we were going through pennies, and it was like 1986 or 84 or something. And she was like, well, that was a good year. And I was like, was it? She was like, yeah, I think it was a good year. So, okay, let's see the next one. She said it's visiting her friend Diane when I was 15. So the summer that I was 15, before I went to be a sophomore in high school, my mom and I and her sorority sister and her sorority sister's daughter, we drove 9 hours to Charlevoix, Michigan, and then took the ferry over to Beaver Island because my mom's best friend, her whole life since high school, lived on Beaver Island. Diane died 3 years before my mom passed away. And she had cancer for the second time, and the second time she chose not to fight it. And I remember I came over to this condo. My mom was sitting in the couch right over there. Couch isn't here anymore, but I said to her, are you okay? And she was just very still. And she said, no, I'm not. And she said, who now will know my soul? And I don't even know that I understood that kind of friendship at that time. But now with my friend Tanya Jean that I've had for 23 years, that's a lifetime, I totally understand that kind of friendship. And that friendship is a gift. A lot of people don't get friendships like that. But that trip was so magical. We had such a great time. laughing at the Chinese restaurant. Oh my God, I was just talking about this the other night in my vlog. My ex and I, we used to always go to this Chinese buffet called Forbidden City Buffet right up the street. It was so good. It was like the nicest Chinese buffet that I've ever been to in my entire life. And it was expensive too. And we would take my mom there and she'd always say, I wish that we could take stuff home. I wish we could take stuff home. Do you think they'd care if we took stuff home? And I'd be like, Mom, no, you can't take stuff home. And then we would get home. Like, she would do this at the casino too, at the buffet at the casino. And then we would get home and she would like have like cookies and like egg rolls and stuff that she had wrapped up in napkins and put in her purse. And I'd be like, Mom, what are you doing? One time we were at the casino and we would stay in southern Indiana at Caesars right outside of Louisville. And we would get back to the room, like after we had like gone to the slot machines and everything. After the buffet, we would get back to the room to watch a movie. And she would say, which we would go to the diner on the way back to get cheeseburgers and stuff, you know. And my mom would say, she would have like this little plate in her room that was like a, you know, a saucer for like a coffee cup. Speaking of which, let me get some coffee. And she would say, or she would say, do you want a cookie? And she would have all these cookies and like stuff on their egg rolls. And what I'd be like, Mother, what is that? And she'd say, well, they wouldn't care if I took some. They have so much and they're just going to throw it out. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oatmeal baths for chicken pox. So the funny story is that I didn't get chicken pox until late. Like, you know how like most kids get it young? I got it like in like, I think like 4th or 5th grade, 5th grade maybe. And, the first day, my mom was like, you have a temperature, you can't go to school. Like, the chicken pox were going around our school. And I was like, she was like, you can't go to school. And I remember I was so excited because, of course, I hated school because I was bullied like crazy. And so I was like, oh, I got to stay home. She's like, you have the chicken pox. You could kind of see the things on me. So I was starting to get them. She was like, you can, but I had no idea what that meant, right? So she was like, you can, you're going to have to stay home for like a week or two, you know, depending on how long it lasts and whatever. And I was so excited. And I can remember I like made my whole bedroom into this, like, I got it around Christmas time, this Christmas den. And I had like all of my Christmas movies out and Christmas books. And I was so excited that I didn't have to go to school for 2 weeks. And that was like day 1. And by day 3, I was like in this oatmeal bath. Do you guys remember those like Aveeno oatmeal baths? And I was like crying. My mom used to tell a story. She said, you were like crying. And you were like, I don't want to have chicken pox anymore. So anyway, that was that memory. I might have to skim through some of these because I'm like, this video is already 12 minutes long and the battery is half dead. And I'm only like 6 pages in. So, tomato soup, chicken a la king, apple muffins, chili, and chicken curry. And those were my 5 favorite meals that my mom made. She would always make me chicken curry on my birthday with a pecan pie because I love pie more than I like birthday cake. Keeping Santa alive forever. So even until I was like the year before my mom passed, or the Christmas that my mom, before she passed away, we were in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, just the 2 of us, because I had started wanting to, I saw the movie Smoky Mountain Christmas with Dolly Parton. It's still like my favorite Christmas movie of life. And I wanted to go to Gatlinburg and get a cabin just like Dolly Parton does in the movie. And so we started doing that a couple years before. That last Christmas, my ex and I had broken up and it was just my mom and I. And up until that very last Christmas, my mom would put presents underneath the tree and it would say to Peter from Santa. And I'd be like, oh, thanks, Mom. And she would say, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't get that for you. That was from Santa. She would say that till I was 36 years old, you know. Chimes of Freedom was my mom's favorite Bob Dylan song. Mr. Tambourine Man was another one of her favorites. She loved Bob Dylan. Yellow Dog. I just talked about this in my vlog too. I didn't think I'd get this emotional. I had this stuffed animal when I was a little kid called Yellow Dog, and I carried it around with me everywhere. And I told a story about that on the vlog, so I'm not going to repeat it. Oh, Jojo was another stuffed animal that I had. My mom said, we went to this, if you watch my drama videos, I show the book The Lonely Doll. We went to this yard sale, garage sale for this women's group here, women's league called the Try-In. And my mom had to work it or something, and I had to be there all day long. And she said at the end, she was like, you were so well behaved. She was like, you can have like 2 things. And I picked the book The Lonely Doll, and I picked this stuffed animal who I named Jojo. And I have him upstairs. I'll have to show him sometime in a video. I only have like 3 of my stuffed animals left. Well, I have a whole bag of them down the basement, but I just can't throw them out for some reason. I feel like I need to wash them and donate them somewhere, you know? I always think of the Velveteen Rabbit when I get ready to throw them away. And I'm like, I can't throw them away. So I think I have to wash them and donate them somewhere, you know. But I have this one named JoJo, and he has this big fat legs on him, and he's so cute. But he was so dirty, and I can remember my mom was like, and his ears are coming off, like, and stuff like that. And he was like that when I got him. And my mom was like, you want this tired old thing? And I was like, yeah, I like him, because I always liked, like, strays and stuff like that, you know. And so I brought him home, and I remember she wanted to throw him in the washing machine. And I was, can you imagine this in 2020? And I was like, no, you can't throw him in the washing machine because I was afraid he'd fall apart. And so she didn't put him in the washing machine. She let me just keep him as is. And that was JoJo. Sounds of the woods in the summer coming through my bedroom windows. I've talked about this on my vlog a million times. I had woods behind my house that I grew up in a creek. And you could, if I was laying in bed at night, I could hear the creek outside and the bending of the trees and the wind. And I could hear the sounds of the birds and stuff at night through my window. It was really pretty. Okay. You dress like a movie star on Christmas Eve at Aunt Kathy's. So our Christmas Eves were like super, super dressy. My aunt would always make something like beef Wellington, and everybody had to get dressed up. And my mom always, like, she went like over the top. Like, my mom loved like silver, black, and pink. And so she would always wear like all silver or like all black and silver on like Christmas Eve. And my Christmas Eves were always, even though, like, until my mom got sober, they're filled with lots of alcohol and stuff, they were still very, very magical. I had a few, like, I've told stories on my vlogs, I had a few pretty bad Christmases related to my mom's drinking. But, you know, the magic of sobriety is that after she got sober, I got to share 13 years with my mother of sobriety that we had Christmases like we would never have had. I would never have gone to Gatlinburg, Tennessee with my mom had neither one of us gotten sober. I wouldn't have wanted to spend Christmas with her like that. You know what I mean? I spent so much time with my mom. And that's all as a result of the fact that we both got sober. So I'm somewhat kind of willing to trade in a few of those Christmases that were really bad for the amazing 13 years that I had at the end. And that's how our relationship ended. And I'm so thankful for that, you know? Listening to Thelma Houston while her friend is in the library and they're dancing. And my mom, I'm talking about this stuff all the time. Same story, see, over and over and over again. My mom and her friend loved Thelma Houston, and my mom had real long hair, and she would wear like, you know, like a halter top or like a silk shirt unbuttoned with like jeans, tight jeans, and she would wear like those, do you remember those Candies clogs? Do you remember those? She would wear those, and they would like dance, and they would sit there with their wine glasses, and they'd, don't leave me this way. I can still see them there in the library. Some of these are names, so I can't say some of them. This was a babysitter that I had, and I loved her. She was awesome. Singing Carmen in the kitchen. So my mom did this thing when she would cook, and she would pick, like, my mom loved Broadway tunes. I'm not a big Broadway tune, but this isn't really singing Carmen, but she would do this thing, and we would go na 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 ha na 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 ha, and we would go like around and around the kitchen, and that's how she would get me to like help her cook in the kitchen and stuff like that and keep me distracted. But the other thing that she would do, I'm surprised it doesn't say this in here. Hold on a second. I'm like, okay, here I am. I mean, this is as far as I've made it in the book, you guys. And maybe some of the things I need to keep to myself anyway, but she would say, she would say, I'm trying to think of a song, like the sun will come out tomorrow. And then she'd say, and so we would have to sing it, right? And then she would say, okay, country version. So we'd have to sing it like with a country western twang. We did that with all these show tunes. All right, Halloween, because we both loved Halloween. Coming up with new traditions every year. Talking to you on the phone on New Year's 2000 as the millennium changed in every country. So this is like a really powerful memory of mine. I was like really sick, and my ex was really sick on New Year's when it turned into 2000, but I ended up coming over here that night. But so my mom and I would call each other every country or every, like, you know, time zone that it changed. And we, at this one point, Anderson Cooper and somebody else, I can't remember who, were talking about the 10 most profound things that had happened in the last 1,000 years. And I remember my mom and I were on the phone talking about this, and the first one was the birth of Jesus Christ, the most profound things that had affected the world. And the second thing was the meaning of the two founding members of a 12-step program in Akron, Ohio. And I thought, there are so many of us out there that are suffering from the disease of addiction, but yet there are so many of us out there that have lives beyond our wildest dreams today. My mom and I, the only reason we were on the phone together on New Year's Eve was because of those two people meeting. I'm so passionate about my recovery because of that. Alfred Hitchcock movies, especially Rear Window. Those were my mom's favorite. Snow Days. The battery died, which gave me a moment to kind of pull myself together from the crying, but I'm sure I'll be right back there in a second. I think crying is really healthy. I do. I think it's like maybe I needed to feel these things, you know? Listening to old-time radio tapes with you asleep on the floor. So when I was a little kid, my mom would lay on the floor next to my bed. I had bunk beds. Not every night, but some nights. And I had this old tape player, and I have it actually down in my basement. It's this like old-time radio that she had gotten for me for Christmas or something. And so I had all of these like old-time radio tapes, like The Shadow and Dragnet and Fibber, McGee, and Molly, and, you know, all these different radio shows. I was kind of obsessed with it for a while. I think that's actually why I ended up loving audiobooks so much. So I would listen to those with her, and I would, you know, fall asleep. Okay. Going to the library that I still go to. I still go to the same library. Playing tennis with you. Our whole family is a big tennis family. I've talked a lot about that on my vlog. My mom, okay, you laughing so hard you almost start crying. My mother would laugh so hard over things. She would tell this one story about how they lived in this two-bedroom, my mom and dad lived in this two-bedroom apartment when I was like an infant. And it was like New Year's Eve, and there was all these people that were there. It was like my aunt and uncle were there from out of town. My mom's best friend and her husband were there, and they were like sleeping on the couch. My mom and dad were in the bedroom, and like they had, like I had the bedroom because like it was easier for like my dad to do like work in the other room and stuff like that. But anyway, so she got laughing, so she would always get laughing so hard telling this story because she would say like it was me alone in like the master bedroom, and they were like all asleep on like chairs and couches and stuff. I don't know why this story got her cracking up so much, but she would laugh so hard telling these stories, and she would be almost kind of like hyperventilating. You never saying anything bad about my dad. My mom she never said anything. I mean, like, I can think of, like, maybe once or twice in her whole life that she said something bad about my dad, and my dad likewise about my mom. You know, my mom and dad did not like each other. They just didn't. You know, they very much loved each other when they were, you know, early on in their relationship. And my dad describes it as two people that were very much in love that fell out of love, and they just didn't want anything really to do with each other anymore. But my dad spoke at my mom's funeral, and he said, you know, we were two people that didn't get along, but the greatest thing that came out of it was Peter. And, you know, I will say this, and I know that there are a lot of people out there that fight with their exes and things like that. My parents never did. I mean, I can think of one occasion or two. I can think of definitely one, and maybe two, if I really thought about it, where my parents, like, fought with each other, you know, after they were separated. And I don't remember them fighting at all when they were together. And, you know, they just didn't speak poorly of each other. They just didn't. And they co-parented together. And my mom, if I ever said anything bad about my dad, my mom would say, you don't speak poorly about your dad that way. And if I ever said anything bad about my mom, my dad was, like, on it like that, you know? So I'm very, very thankful of that. Walking around Chicago on your birthday, the big one. When my mom turned 60, we went to Chicago. And that whole trip was so much fun. Having sobriety with you. Our long intellectual conversations that no one else would have with me, I said. Go Dog Go. It was like one of my favorite children's books when I was a little kid. Me combing your hair when you had alopecia. My mom had alopecia really, really bad. And to the point where like she literally only had like 2 strands left, and she was getting cortisone shots in her scalp, and her doctor finally told her that she should get a wig. You know, my mom was wearing scarves and stuff. And that day she kind of had this like really like kind of Jesus moment. And she was like, you know what, I'm done with all of this. I'm done with the cortisone shots. I'm done with all of this. But she would ask me to comb her hair. And so I would comb her hair, and like pieces of it would come out. I can remember us sitting in the kitchen, and it just was so hard for her. And alopecia is typically for male pattern balding, or it's stress related. And my mom would, Tucker's trying to get around the side of me because he thinks we're doing some kind of review, but we're not, a food. The second that she kind of surrendered and let go, her hair started growing back. And isn't that crazy? I think that's crazy. I think that's a good lesson for life. You and I sleeping over at Aunt Kathy and Uncle Dave's when I was younger. We would stay over there like a lot of weekends that I was growing up. Our window seat, we had a window seat in our library, and my mom had one like in her bedroom, kind of too. Trimming the Christmas tree. Judy Collins. My mom and I loved the folk singer Judy Collins. I still do. Listening to you tell stories. I definitely get my storytelling from my mom. Well, maybe. My dad does too. Finger foods and eyeball punch on Halloween. Having watched almost every Academy Awards with you. You know, there was like 2 years after my mom passed away that I literally could not watch the Academy Awards. I would come over here every year. We would stay till the very end. Nobody could talk but her. If you talk, shh. We would cry during the in memoriam part every year. And she would make like a big cheese plate, and we had to get dressed up like our favorite movie star. And every year she had this like silver sweater set, and she had a name tag that said Sharon Stone. And she'd always say, "Do you think I look like Sharon Stone?" I'd say, "Yes, Mom, you do." We used to take a walk to the bridge and back. We did that for a long time. I did it one whole summer when I was before I got into high school, when I was trying to lose weight. It was like a 2-mile walk, and we would just walk and talk. And we did that when I was an adult too. My elementary school. My surprise 16th birthday party. She gave me a surprise 16th birthday party that I did not want. I was not happy about it. It was like 5 of my friends and like a cooler of pop. And needless to say, we were ready to do some other things besides a cooler of pop and a birthday cake. But she tried. She tried so hard, you know. She put new wallpaper in my bedroom and redid my whole bedroom. I went, for my 16th birthday, I went to California with my dad and my stepmom, and when I came back, she had redone my whole bedroom and had this surprise birthday party for me. And, you know, I look back on that, and like my mom was so excited about it, and I just was really kind of like, 16's a hard year, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely would have been nicer to my mom, I think, you know, like we had a great relationship, and I think if she was here, she would be like, "Babe, you were so nice to me. Like, you did so much." I mean, I did, like in the last couple of years. I mean, I'm not patting my own back, but like, I mean, we took a lot of trips. We went a lot of places. I did dinners with her. I was, you know, over here several nights a week. But, you know, I think maybe when it mattered, like when I was in high school, I think we're kind of rude to our parents when we're in high school, you know? It's like we're embarrassed to be around them, and I'd do anything. I'd do anything to have her back now, you know? She could be embarrassing sometimes. Watching movies and sewing clothes in the TV room. So I always wanted to be a fashion designer when I was in high school, and I would make clothes for my friends, and I would watch movies like Pretty in Pink where she sewed her own clothes, and we had a TV room upstairs, and I would watch it with my sewing machine, and I would make these outfits, and then I would drive them over to my friend's house and put it in their mailbox, and the next day they would show up to school with it. Little House on the Prairie was our favorite show. I still hear that song like that, na 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 na, and I think about my mom. Good Night, John Boy, from the Waltons. Laying out at the pool with you in the summer. Staying at Caesar's Palace and eating at the buffet. Oh my Lord! Shopping at the Edinburgh Outlet Mall at Christmas time. Train trip we took to Chicago. So when I was a little kid, we took this train trip to Chicago to go visit some friends of my mom's. We took the Amtrak up there. I don't think it runs anymore. Running through the sprinklers and making water slides with trash bags, which really my mom did not like, because we would put all these trash. It's so funny because my neighbor did it this year. She and her friends with this like huge tarp, and it like killed the grass. And I was thinking of my mom when I was growing up, because my mom would say, "Those trash bags are killing my," we would put all this water on them and make our own like water slides. You remember the water slides? She gets so mad. Our advent calendar with yellow dog. It had a little yellow dog on there. See, it had all this stuff on there, but a lot of it was like specific to me. And then Caroline has one that's specific to her. Sweetheart rolls from Rosin Bakery on Christmas morning. Late night walks on Christmas Eve. So my mom and I, we would come home. We did this when we were drinking and when we weren't. But it meant so much more afterwards because it was so spiritual. My mom loved to watch the we would always go to my aunt's house for Christmas Eve, and well, after my mom got sober, we would, because before that, it was, nobody wanted my mom driving on Christmas Eve. So my mom actually had an accident on Christmas Eve. I'm kind of like been steering away around this because I'm trying to make it like a nice story, but people that watch my vlog know this. One Christmas, my mom slid on ice. It was Christmas Eve and she had been drinking, and she slid on ice, and my grandma was in the car, and it was the three of us, and we had to hitchhike. My mom hitchhiked for us so that somebody could pick us up and drop us off at the house, and then she had to call and have somebody tow the car. And it was like one of my mom's biggest regrets her whole life. Like, she felt horrible about it, you know? And that was what I was saying when, I mean, all of the sober Christmases I got as a result, and this is a good example of this. We always would watch the Midnight Mass at the Vatican. And then my mom and I would take a walk, and it was just so spiritual. It wasn't about Santa or presents or any of that kind of stuff. It just was really spiritual. Her reading at Caroline's wedding, that's so weird that that's in here. And then I have the videotape of it. Helping you get ready for your high school reunion. Oh my God. So my mom went and got this special like sweater, and she was so excited about her high school reunion. She had such a good time. I must have been in high school then. Mother's Day picnic at the art museum. My mom and I made all this food, and my uncle went with us actually. My aunt and my cousin were out of town that year, and we went to the art museum on the grounds. The Indianapolis Art Museum are gorgeous, and we had a picnic there. Puppet shows in my bunk bed. I used to do that when I was a kid, and everybody had to watch. Our Christmas tree with the red lights. So I wanted to have a Christmas tree with red lights for a long time, and then afterwards I changed over and I wanted white lights, and now I always have white lights, but we had red lights for a while because I really liked that. Deviled eggs and orange bread. My mom made the best deviled eggs and orange bread in the entire world. Is that it? Oh, no. I missed the page. Writing. Talking around our island in our old kitchen. We had this huge island in our kitchen. Wildflowers in the woods. I just told this story the other day. Did I tell it on this channel? I don't know. Before we moved into our house, like the summer before or whatever, it took like 2 years to build our house. My Aunt Kathy came out there, and she had huge bags of wildflower seed, and she took it and she just scattered it everywhere. So the summers after that, our woods were literally filled with wildflowers. And I would look out my back window looked right over the creek and into the woods. And every summer, it just was like, I mean, it looked like a painting. It was an unbelievable amount of wildflowers. Snow and ice on the trees. The feel of the grass under my bare feet in our front yard. You supporting gay rights. You know, I can remember when I came out to my mom. I actually told her I was bisexual because back in the day, I think a lot of us did because it was like easier. Like today, you know, it's a completely different situation, but I think sometimes today bisexual people struggle just as hard, if not 10 times more than us, you know, with people understanding. But back then it was kind of like, I don't know, I felt like maybe it was more acceptable or something like that. And I remember I said that to her, and she was like, Peter, she was like, I think you're gay. And I was like, okay, yeah. And she said, I'm scared for you. And I've told this story so many times. I said, what do you mean? And she goes, I mean, it's not safe. Like, it's not a safe world. And I thought she meant, because I came out into the world of HIV and AIDS, I thought she meant HIV and AIDS. And I said, you know, Mom, I'm going to practice. My mom and I and my dad and I have always had very open, honest conversations. And I said, I'm going to practice safer sex practices and whatnot. And she said, oh, I'm not talking about that. She was like, I mean, we'll deal with it. If that's what happens, we'll deal with that when that happens, you know? And that is not my story to tell. I cannot say that because I'm not HIV positive, but I know above a shadow of a doubt. And if I was, I would share that, and I would tell my story to inspire others, because I know friends of mine that have been so inspired by other people telling their stories that are HIV positive. But I know above a shadow of doubt that if I was, that my mom would have had no issue with it. Would she have been scared and uncertain of my future? Yeah, absolutely. But do I think that she would have been ashamed or anything? No. And neither would my father, and neither would my stepmom or my aunt and uncle, you know. My mom she said to me, I'm not worried about that. I'm scared about how society will treat you. Society is not kind to gay people. And she wanted me to always be safe. I remember when Matthew Shepard, and actually I think the 12th was the anniversary of Matthew Shepard's death. Sad how many of us have forgotten who Matthew Shepard was, but Matthew Shepard was somebody that was taken out to a fence and left to die. And I can remember my mom called the hospital that he was in and checked every night to see that he was okay. And I can remember she was absolutely devastated when he passed away. It was like 2 nights that he was alive, and then he passed away. And she just so felt like connected to that mother. So anyway, my mom was always supportive of me. Grandma, there's so much I remember. How little did I know? There was so much I didn't know, though, is what I should say. If you watch my other channels, but that's for another day. Making fires in our fireplace. Breakfast at Tiffany's and Annie Mae, 2 of our favorite movies. Atticus, Scout, Jim, Calpurnia, and Dill. Because every year we would watch To Kill a Mockingbird, like in the fall. And those were names that we just knew and talked about in our house. Stuffed animals on my top bunk when I was growing up. Hearing the Pope at midnight mass on Christmas Eve. The smell that only smells good like you. I don't know what that is today. You know, I haven't smelled it in so long. I don't know what that is. Oh, I miss her so much some days, you know. Some days, like, I don't think about her at all, but then something like this. Coming home, wherever you are, and it just gets sweeter every day. I love you. And that's the end. God, there's so many memories, though. So many more than that, too, you know? It truly is, you know, like, it sounds so corny and cliche to say that people and the memories that we have with them are what make our lives, but in all honesty, people and the memories that we have with them, they're what make our lives. They really, really are. And I'm so grateful for all the people that I have had in my life. And I'm so grateful that I have this book to remember some of the things that I probably would have forgotten if I didn't, you know. I've started keeping a list of like all of the little songs I sing to the dogs. I started that with Pee-Pee when I knew that Pee-Pee, our Chihuahua, was sick before he passed away. And the little names that I would call him and the little names I called Boo and Tucker, who were asleep right here on the couch next to me. Because I never want to forget those things, you know? Anyway, well, thank you for dealing with my highly emotional video today. God, it felt good. It felt good to get some of that out and think about that. And I miss you, Mom. And I love you guys, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.